Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review. Today is Wednesday, the best day of the week. You know why? Because it's comic book day. That means we're going to be talking about my comic load for the week. So this is a pretty big week. I did not forget anything this week. Huzzah! But we're going to jump right into it, and we're going to kind of do speed round style. So starting things off, we're going to do some Batman comics. And this is kind of the Batman week because a good majority of the Batman comics come out. We have Nightwing issue number 11. So Nightwing is still dealing with this radical group that, have the anarchy symbol on their head, and the Republic of Tomorrow is what they call themselves. And basically, while this is happening, and Nightwing is taking on these individuals, he's trying to figure out who is framing him for murders. A lot of his clues and thoughts are pointing towards one person, but then they get totally rerouted to something else. And finding out that a lot of the lies and truths are getting mixed up in his head. So Nightwing is kind of get pulled at all directions from this new Republic of Tomorrow, and exactly who is framing him for the murder. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. I think the Republic of Tomorrow are turning out to be more badasses. I think it would be good if we limited them and took away the group and just made it as one individual. Where you see the main guy with the whip. The fight scene was pretty good, and I do like the ongoing mystery of who is framing uh, Dick Grayson. Also, the utilization of Zuko's daughter was very well done. Sophie Zuko, I believe, or Sophie Zuko. Bad. The art is a little jumpy at times. And sometimes it's really good art, but at other times it looks a little iffy, just a little iffy. And I felt the pacing of the issue was just a little bit. I don't know. It was like stop and go, stop and go. But besides that, a good issue. I'll give Nightwing a 3.5 out of 5. It was fun. On to Red Hood and the Outlaws, issue number 11. So basically, Roy Harper is tied up and being tortured, and he's recapping on exactly how he's got into this position and what's happened with Starfire. And we learned about Starfire's background. We learned that her sister sold her away for peace to the for Tamaran, and we find out about her motives, her objectives, and whether or not she actually wants to help out or not help out. And we see it all kind of get played out, and a reveal of Blackfire happens in this issue, and boy, does she look. She kind of looks like a mix between Kerrigan from StarCraft and Starfire. It's really quite interesting. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. I thought the backstory in Exhibition was very nicely done. I thought how it was told was good. The art was good, and I also liked some of the character interactions. In saying that, I thought some of the character interactions were also a little weird, like the alien interacting with Jason's date, kind of off. And again, it felt kind of short because we had the backup issue to Essence, and the Essence issue ended here. The story was only like 2 issues long, and it really wasn't that good of a story. I felt as though Scott Lobdell sacrificed what is turning out to be a fun story in Red Hood and the Outlaws for a mediocre story as a backup with Essence at best. And not saying Essence is a bad character, but the story was just not that good. Whether or not you should get it, yeah, I'll give this a 4 out of 5. The Blackfire stuff is turning out to be really good, and Starfire is turning out to be a very stoic badass in this. Almost near emotionless with what she's talking about. And I like the camaraderie that's coming between Red Hood, Arsenal, and Starfire. So 4 out of 5. Catwoman, issue number 11. So Catwoman is still tracking down the dollhouse maker person. It's not the doll maker, but the person that is abducting all these prostitutes and these kids and these drug dealers and basically turning them into dolls. Catwoman decides to work with that cop. I forget his name. If I can look it up. But she decides to work with that cop, and they get into a bit of a tussle, just a bit of a tussle. But she eventually convinces him to work for her. Where is his name? Because I feel bad that I don't remember it because he's actually starting to grow on me as a character. Dr. Carlos Oliveras. So, not doctor, detective. I said doctor, didn't I? It's because I've been playing Trauma Center. So, basically, we're getting those two working together, and we also, we're getting a little bit of a background villain coming in, a familiar Batman villain. If you look at the silhouette, you'll know who it is. Kind of, picking at Catwoman, no pun intended. Um, and it all kind of cultivates into a big blowout at the end of the issue. Good. I like Detective Carlos. I like the interactions between him and Catwoman. I think they could be a dynamic team. Um, I think Shock is a fun character, but see, here's the problem with Shock. We know he's going to betray Catwoman from the previous issues, his sketchy interactions. We know he's going to betray Catwoman, and we even know he's not going to be around in the next few issues because the writer that is going to take over for Catwoman stated that he's probably not going to show up. Um, I was genuinely shocked when we saw the identity of this doll maker, dollhouse person. On the whole, Catwoman was an okay issue. I think there was a lot of good here, but I think at the same time there wasn't anything that stood out. So I'll give it 3 out of 5. Next is Birds of Prey. So, basically Poison Ivy's dying. They need to get her to a place where she can regenerate. And we find out that Poison Ivy is actually really dying. She has about 6 months to live. And she wants to basically do everything she can within that 6 months. So she uses some kind of tool to blackmail the birds to doing her bidding. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. I think the story concept is pretty good. I like the utilization of every Birds of Prey member. Particularly, I like the dynamic in the mindset of Poison Ivy. But the bad is the art just doesn't work for me, and I felt as though it was badly paced, almost like it was a little anticlimactic. I know we're leading into a new story, but I thought there would be some big blowout fight with those unhuman plant thingies, but there wasn't really. I love Birds of Prey. I think it's a good book, but this issue really did impress me. 2.5 out of 5. Batwoman, issue number 11. So the Medusa head has this new leader with that shapeshifter dude who, really is creepy because he shapeshifts into his sister. Kind of weird. But yes, his sister's name is Soon, and his name is I forget. But anyways, he killed Fashion, and now he's in control of Medusa's head, and a lot of stuff goes down. This issue was better paced than the previous issues, and also Flamebird is starting to. Well, I don't want to. I think you know where I'm going. And the ending was very nice. I very much like the Maggie Sawyer stuff with Batwoman at the end, which was very good. Bad, the only thing is I really haven't fallen in love with this Medusa head yet. I still feel as though they're kind of a random villain. That makes sense. If all the previous issues of Batwoman was focusing on one of the villains, that would have been fine. But only like a few of the villains were focused on. So, but it was a good issue. 3.5 out of 5. Blue Beetle, issue number 11. So, the meeting of Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. And trust me, it does not go out the way that you think it should. Booster and Blue Beetle have kind of a big blowout. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. There is a big cliffhanger because a certain someone returns to a certain way of living. That makes sense. That's probably a horrible way to describe what happens. But anyways, I thought the fighting in this issue was good. I thought Booster and Blue Beetle should be in more comics together, and I thought Booster had a decent reasoning for doing what he did, a decent. But on the flip side, I thought Booster was horribly portrayed. He did not feel like the Booster that we had from the Justice League International. Apparently, Justice League International Annual is going to continue this story. So I didn't really like the portrayal of Booster. On the whole, this was an okay issue. I think I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Supergirl, issue number 11. So Supergirl fights this nanite suit dude, and that's really most of the issue. Is she fights this nanite suit dude. She comes to the realization she's putting Silver Banshee and her brother at risk. So whether or not she should stay or go, and the cliffhanger is she's going to go back to see Superman. Yeah, I like Supergirl. I think it's the best of the Superman titles, but it feels as though with everything they do right with Supergirl, with the storytelling, with the characters, with her having to learn to speak and learn to be on Earth's world, like there's some great moments in this, like her tasting pizza for the first time, or her like learning how to speak. It's great, but the villains are just dull, dull. Tycho was a good villain, Mr. Tycho, in the very beginning. Or Rain from the World Killers was a good villain, but since then I feel as though the villains have been kind of like villain of the week. Even Silver Banshee's father felt villain of the week. So I'll give this a 3 out of 5. It had some good stuff, but it had some meh stuff too. Okay, so DC Universe presents Savage, issue number 11. So Vandal Savage, basically, him and his daughter confront the guy that's been doing the copycat killings, and oh boy, do they have a blowout. Vandal Savage goes crazy. Huge big blowout and nice resolve to the issue. Which I will just, I don't want to give too much away about this story because it ends on such a nice note. But good, it was great. I thought Vandal Savage was portrayed nicely. I thought his daughter was portrayed nicely. I thought the ending was very good. It leaves the door open for other stuff. The only thing I didn't like is I thought the villain looked silly. But besides that, uh, it was a good issue. 5 out of 5. Really good issue. Wonder Woman issue number 11. So we start to find out more about Apollo's mission, for lack of a better term, his motive. Apollo teams up with Artemis, and basically the sun and the moon join together in a big blowout fight between Lennox, Wonder Woman, and Hermes goes out with the gods, and it is huge. And at the end of the day, we find out why Apollo is doing what he's doing, and it's pretty awesome. Uh, Good. The art was fantastic. The the action was great. The atmosphere. There was a great level of immersion here. The atmosphere was great, and the ending set up what will be a fantastic issue 12, or at least I'm excited for issue 12. Bad, none. 5 out of 5. Oh, the build up for Wonder Woman for that was just great, and that's not even the climax. The climax is next week. Justice League issue number 11. So we learn a lot more about Graves. Uh, and the Justice League team basically is trying to hunt him down. But while we do this, we also see interactions between the team, and we see Wonder Woman particularly getting a little antsy because Stephen Trevor is in danger; he could be dead. And it's just basically the Justice League retracking Gray's footsteps, where he got his powers from, what's making him do what he's doing, and we learn a little bit more about the character. And this is one of the things about the New 52 I like is while we do have these reimaginings of the DC universe with the villains and heroes, we're also getting new original villains in. Graves is turning out to be kind of a new villain. And this is a very personal story, where the other story was kind of big, pow, bam, boom. This is a little bit more personal. Good. There was some fun fighting in this. I think, again, we get to learn more about the villain. I like how the team interacts with each other. And they really fall into their roles very nicely. I like Batman barking orders. It's fun. And I like the different change of sceneries that they have. Bad. The only bad that I have with this is I think Wonder Woman is very irrational. I like the Wonder Woman stuff, how she feels guilty about Stephen Trevor. Excuse me. How she feels guilty about Stephen Trevor, but I felt as though she was very, very aggressive. More aggressive than Wonder Woman can be. Putting that aside, this was a great issue. It was definitely better than the last issue. Actually, the only other bad I can say is a Shazam follow-up. While it was fun, way too short. I think they spent too many panels on nothing really. But besides that, 5 out of 5. This was a good issue too. It looks like the Justice League family of comics are pulling some great stuff out this week. Next is Silk Spectre issue number 2 of 4, is it? Yeah, 2 of 4. the issue starts off, and much of the dialogue for the issue, the internal dialogue, is actually Silk Spectre writing a letter to Night Owl issue number one, not issue number one, Night Owl number one. And she's basically telling him where she's going and what she's doing, and we get to see the life of Silk Spectre right now, and it all leads into a bad man doing some bad stuff, um, and causing some trouble. And I'm curious about something. It is. Okay. This is also rated M because there's some nudity and some choice words in this, which took me by surprise because I thought it was rated T, but hey, shit happens. Um, I think it was actually the words and the nudity was handled fairly well in this issue. Good. I like the internal dialogue. I love the art. I thought the pacing of the story was good up until the point. The only bad I can say about this issue is I thought it became very dialogue heavy towards the end. And maybe it's just me. Maybe it's because I was reading a lot of comics today, and all the dialogue happening at that time. I was just my eyes were tired a bit, so maybe it's just me. But besides that, Silk Spectre is surprisingly one of the best of the Watchmen. I'm not saying Silk Spectre is a bad character, but usually when people talk about Watchmen, Silk Spectre is not the first one that comes up. But this is turning out to be a really good series. I will give this a 4.5 out of 5. So those are the comics for this week. I was supposed to get my Justice League, Aquaman, and Green Lantern figure, but it never came in. So we'll have to see about that. But which one was my Andrew Cutter pick of the week? You're just going to have to wait and see. Till then, this is Andrew saying peace out for now.